The common way to play B is just so difficult to fret, right? Your fingers just don't want to stretch to that position, and no matter how hard you try, you can never switch to it fast or make it sound clean. It ends up sounding something weird and you've got fret buzz, and it's just a nightmare to fret. So are you condemned to never playing that chord? Or are there easier ways to play it that nobody's telling you? If you don't know me yet, my name is Den Lopez and I'm the founder of Learning Guitar Secrets and best-selling author of this book, The Ultimate Guitarist Chord Book. In this video, we're gonna discover why this is a B chord, and we're gonna explore new possibilities and easier ways to fret it across the fretboard. And stick around till the end because you're gonna discover and understand one of the most difficult concepts for beginner guitarists to understand. Let's get started. Okay, so first, and this is something most don't understand, is that any basic chord, in this case a B chord, is several notes played together, right? This is a B note, which makes sense. It's a B note, it's a B chord. But once you start throwing more notes together, it starts creating that chord. And if I color that B chord in colors, you'll see that there's only 3 colors. We've got a red, we've got a blue, and we've got a green. Yes, we've got 2 reds, we've got 2 greens, and we've got 1 blue. But what's cool is that those 3 notes can be found all across the fretboard. And as long as you play those 3 colors, you'll be playing a B chord. By the way, repetition of colors is allowed. Let's check out some of these possibilities out. Let's start with the original position we started with. We could play, I don't know, this note, this note, this note, and this note. Just those 4 strings, and that has the 3 colors, so that's a legit B chord. You could also choose to play strings 1, 2, 3, and 4, because that's a legit B chord. It has all 3 colors. But hey, you could also just fret strings 2, 3, and 4 with 1 finger, and that's still a legit B chord. So don't stress about if some of the strings are getting muted from that shape you're fretting here. That note is now muted. I can make it ring out, but I can mute it, and it still sounds like a B chord because it has all 3 colors. Let's move a little bit further higher up the fretboard and find another B chord, for example, this one. Now, this is a very uncomfortable B chord to fret, but remember, we can break it down into less strings as long as we have the 3 colors. So check this one out. I love this B chord, and it's actually pretty simple to fret. A lot easier than this one. And I think it sounds even prettier than this one. Check out this easy B chord. I'm only using strings 2, 3, 4, and 5. 4 strings. And it sounds pretty nice. And it's very easy to fret. I'm using a bar over here on strings 2, 3, and 4, and then I'm placing my ring finger over here, playing those 4 strings. Let's move a little bit higher up the fretboard. What about, check this one out. That's a B chord. Only 3 strings. This is a B chord. 4 strings. This is a B chord. 5 strings. But of course I could only play maybe strings 3, 4, and 5. That's a B chord too. Maybe strings 2, 3, and 4. That's a B chord. Or maybe these 4 strings, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's a B chord too. As long as we have the 3 colors, we're gonna be playing a B chord. Check this one out, for example. How easy is that one? It's a D over here. So how do I know where all my colors are? How do I know where all those notes are? Do I have some kind of music master's degree? Was I born with natural talent? No, I'm just moving chord shapes in a specific sequence to know where all my B chords are. Check this out. So if I play the normal way to fret a B chord, and I move that B chord 2 frets down in pitch, to where my bar chord is now open, so I don't need to fret that. What shape is that? That's an A chord shape, correct? So wait a minute, we're playing a B chord typically with an A shape? Huh, This is why I always teach my beginners to think in shapes and not in chords, because one shape will create all chords. How this works is I'm going to start with that A shape, and that note on the 5th string open is an A note. Now if I move that note 2 frets up the fretboard in pitch, it's going to become a B note, following the alphabet, right? So if instead of moving just that note, I move all the notes that create A, if one note became another note, one chord shape will become another chord. As a matter of fact, it's going to become all chords, because if I move it up here, what comes after B? C. That's a C chord. What comes after C? D. That's a D chord. What comes after D? E. That's an E chord. It's using an A shape. I'm moving the A shape up the fretboard to find other chords. F, G, and A again beyond the 12th fret. So if I map all those notes I did before in the video for a B, the first shape I'm using is an A shape. I'm only moving the 2 notes that were left open 2 frets higher too, following that chord shape. This is the chord shape. This is the bar I'm fretting behind it to move those notes to, right? That's an A shape. What was the next one that I mapped out on the fretboard? Well, it was a G shape. And you might not recognize that as a G shape, but if I move it to its G position, now you can see it's a G shape, right? So I followed the alphabet. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It ended, so the next chord it's going to create is an A. If I start again on my alphabet, and the next chord it's going to create is a B. Now we already discussed this is a very difficult chord shape to move across the fretboard, but we can break it up into smaller chunks, for example, right? If we keep moving, we'll find an E shape. Why is that an E shape? Well, E, follow the alphabet, F, G, it ends, we start again, A, B. And again, I don't have to fret the entire shape because you might be struggling with bar chords. I could just fret these 3 strings, or these 3 strings, or 4 strings, or 5 strings, however many strings I feel comfortable with. And the last shape I mapped out was this one, which is in really a D shape, but that's uncomfortable to fret, so I'm choosing only to fret this. And it comes from the D shape open, D, E, F, G, A, B. And the last shape I can fret that I didn't map out because it's very far in the fretboard is a C shape. And of course I can move that C shape, which is also uncomfortable, C, D, E, F, G, right? But I can break it down into smaller chunks. So if we've got A, G, E, D, C, and I rearrange those letters, what do I get? Caged. Cage is what everyone uses to map out their fretboard and find out their chords. It's the sequence to find out where all B chords lie on the fretboard, where all C chords lie on the fretboard, where all D chords lie on the fretboard. It's a sequence of chord shapes that you can follow to find all your chords. And this is something I talk about inside of the Ultimate Guitarist Chord Book. Let me show you that chapter on cage. You know what? Let me show you the entire book. Alrighty, so here you have it, the Ultimate Guitarist Chord Book. Everything you want to learn about chords is included in this book, and it starts right from the beginning. How to read your tab sheets, right? Chords versus shapes. This concept really will take your playing to the next level and understanding of the fretboard. Everything is color-coded, so it's easy. So how to start transforming those chords you already know into other chords just by moving one note. How to fret chord shapes. How to make them sound clean. How to change through them quickly. Finger stretching exercise. What else do we have here? chord variations and chord extensions, how to get those chord shapes and start transforming them into other exciting chords just by moving a couple notes. Color coded, so it's super easy. Easy chord progressions. If you're struggling to change through chords, you've got this chapter so you can start playing music right away. Bar chords, haha, here's the meat of the, see how that A turns into an A, into a B, right? How they work. You can turn it into a B minor 2. You can turn it into a B minor 7 if you want to, right? Let's see. How do they work? How they move across the fretboard and what chords do they create? Sharps and flats. So let's see, what else do we have? An easy bar chord checklist. If you're struggling to play bar chords, follow this. What else do we have? Cage. How does cage work? So what does it mean and how do chords move across the fretboard following cage so you can find any chord? Let's see what else we've got. We've got triads, color-coded. How easy is to find your triads if you've got colors? Super easy. You've got them all here. And then, of course, let's see all other chords. So how to create major chords, how to create minors, sus chords, how to create 5 chords, 7 chords, how to create major 7, 6 chords, how to create augmented, diminished, add 9 chord. All chords are included in this book. And of course, you can combine things together to create really exciting new chords. Find them all across the fretboard just by using colors. What else do we have here? We've got chord poisons by genres. What do common genres of music use to get their sound? What type of chords? And then we've got chord progression theory, the circle of fifths and how to use it, and how to create your own chord progressions, minor chord progressions. Wow, this is very complete. We also have a chord library. So how to fret your shapes, what fingers to use and where to place them with like index, middle, ring, pinky, you know? And we've got bar chords, triads for every shape, open chords. Look at all these chords all across the fretboard. Super complete. Everything you want to learn about chords is included in this book. It's spiral bounded, printed in quality paper, so it lays flat on your desk and you can learn everything about chords. Go and check it out.